And first of all, I'm just going to put on the recording for people who are not able to make it now. Okay, good. The recording is on. For those of you who are watching the recording, you only missed the first couple of minutes. Sorry about that. So you should have also access to our December 18th webinar information session. If you don't have that, shoot us an email. Our email address is info@coopersmithcc.net. In fact, I'm going to put it in the chat box over here. I'll put what our email address is. All right, there we go. So you can go ahead and email us. If you have any sort of a question about the materials, please feel free to go ahead and email us. Again, what we recommend, there are two elements to this course. There are 5 assignments that are discussed in a file. We also give you a series of lessons on MLA formatting, which we expect for this material. We also have that webinar from December 18th, which discusses that, which goes through what we are expecting on each assignment and various other resources. Notice for assignment number 4, which is a research assignment, we also, in the flash drive, we also give you some materials over here. This is the flash drive that you should have. This is the MLA materials with some videos. And for assignment number 4, which is a research assignment, we also give you research assignment four articles that you can use as your research. You don't actually have to go out and find your articles. In fact, for this course, I don't think there's really any external research that you need to do. The only assignment that calls for external research is assignment number 4, and here we give you the materials for it. Okay, so these are some of the resources that we give you, and what the purpose of this webinar is to kind of go through some of the things that we expect in terms of the business writing assignments, and also, of course, to throw it open to questions that any of you may have. And with that, I am going to turn the microphone over to Dr. Sari Rosenberg, who is in charge of the business writing course, and she is going to go through some of the things that we expect out of the assignments. And again, we definitely encourage you to ask any questions if you in the chat window. So please go ahead and do so. Generally speaking, I know I see we can't unfortunately make people presenters because we have to kind of keep it focused. But we'll if you have a question, please go ahead and type in your question. Okay, Dr. Rosenberg.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay, so I assume that so many of you have looked over the last webinar, which really was this course in detail where I went through everything and went through each step along the way. So I just want to cover first to begin with, after the webinar, we did notice that there was a great change in grades. Everybody's grades seem to have improved drastically, so we're very happy about that. Everybody's doing extremely well on the final exam. I heard that from the grader. Well, I don't actually grade, I do oversee the graders, and they're telling me that just by studying this new PowerPoint and listening to the webinar, that students are really, really doing well on the final exam. So for that, we can feel confident. So I do want to go over some of the things, though, that don't seem to be, that need improvement, and that points that I just need to emphasize for you. The first one is, and this is what I'm hearing from the graders, the students are not handing in, I'm going to tell you here, an assignment. They're not putting in a cover sheet. Aside from everything that you're asked to do, let me just going to look at here. You're asked to, aside from having the headers on top of your papers, and that's all covered, you were asked to send in a cover sheet with your information for the grader, which says simply your name, your date of birth, the last 4 digits of your social security number, that you're a TTI student. One of the things that I cannot emphasize enough is that there are many people who have the same names as you do. So if your name is, Sarah Schwartz, well, there could be 5 Sarah Schwartzes within our database, and the grader has absolutely no way of knowing who you are unless you put in your birthday and the last 4 digits of your social security number. And she also needs you to please use your legal name. Do not use your nicknames. Do not use your Hebrew name if Excelsior knows you by a secular name. Whatever Excelsior, whoever Excelsior knows you as, please put that down for us in the cover sheet. That really does help. Okay. Also, The other issue that we've been having lately is, Baruch Hashem, so many girls are getting married, is that they're using their married names for some assignments and their single names for some assignments. And it's very hard, and they're not giving like the last 4 digits, or we're getting the same last 4 digits and a birthday, but the names are different because you didn't inform us that you now have a married name, or that you changed it with Excelsior, or you're using your married name, but you didn't tell Excelsior. So this kind of confusion really needs to be taken into consideration, and you really need to be held responsible yourselves for giving us the proper information. Okay. Now, do I have any questions? Please feel free to ask me questions along the way. Here we go. Oh, no questions. Okay. I'm going to look in the box from time to time to make sure, because that's really, really important. The next thing that I want to go over is assignment number 1 and what the issue seems to be. Also, she's going to return if you don't have a header on your paper, she's going to return it to you. And she's going to say, please put a header on the paper. And that's what she's saying people aren't doing. I explain in the webinar, and I explain on this PowerPoint exactly how to do the header in Word, so that should not be a problem. The other issue is the assignments. When you save your assignments, they need to be in 5. If there are 5 assignments, each one has to be sent as one attachment. Don't break down the assignment and then send it in piecework where you have like 5 or 6 attachments. Some people, and I've even seen it, do it by page. They'll just send an attachment 1 page and then send another attachment another page as a continuation. Each assignment, 1 attachment. Okay, even if it's 2 different steps, that's fine. Just let it flow. That's okay. Okay, so let's go with assignment number 1 that we're noticing is that for this one, the process is not being handed in. Now, you're going to be asked about here. Assignment number 1, part 2, the process. Compose, all you have to do is simply answer these questions. What is the purpose of your message? Describe your audience. This is what she's looking for. It's like a part 1 and a part 2. So please make sure that that is kept separate. Also, people are not making a business logo for Branford's, and you're losing points for simply going into Word and just making a cute little logo, even if you just, make it a little bit bigger, put it into a color. That's all you really have to do. Nothing is expected fancy from your logo, but just make sure that you do have that on there, because you're losing points for that. And the other issue is that she's finding from assignment 1 is that people are not realistic in terms of the business world. They're either giving, now you're being asked to, and this is really what the case scenario is, you're asking your people to come in between November and December and not take off during the holiday season at your department store. What's being offered to them are something that people in the business world would not offer people who are working for a little bit above minimum wage for workers like that. You're not going to give them, after January 1st, 2 weeks off, paid vacation to the Bahamas. It just doesn't work that way in the real world. So, when she's reading this, she needs to take off points, because this is business and it's writing, but it's real, so that really needs to be done. You're not going to offer them, double, their wage during the entire months of November and December for them to come in. On the other end of the spectrum, what the grader is noticing is that there are people who are being a little bit too harsh with the employees. Now, telling them that if they miss a day because a relative has died, or they had to go to the hospital, that they're going to lose their job, is a little bit harsh sounding. So what we're asking you to do is try to put yourself into the position of somebody who owns a business. What would you do if you were trying to run your business professionally, but also at the same time think of yourself as the employee and what would incentivize you to actually go to work and not take vacations during that holiday time. So try to take it from both positions, and that's where being a very, very smart business person comes in, because you're doing the negotiations and you want everybody to be happy and keep your eye on, as the owner of the company, on the bottom line, which is making money. Okay, now let's move on to assignment 2, and I'm going to tell you, here we go, assignment 1, you can do this yourself. Assignment 2. One of the issues, the big issue here is that, again, people are being a little rough on the employees. Yes, they went over and above and spent too much money on it. But you really want your people to work for you and to like you, so that by yelling at them in all caps in an email to your employee because he took a taxi rather than the subway isn't going to be helpful. You do want to engage your audience at all times and not make them feel that their job is in jeopardy or they're not appreciated, because if you are too rough on your employees for taking a taxi or for eating in a nicer restaurant or ordering a bigger meal, that person is going to feel like, hey, I've worked for this person. I'm giving my time, my energy, and look at all the things that I do for that. And I'm just unappreciated. And you don't want to do that, because you want to feel good, you want to save money, everybody gets it, but you want your employee to work what's in the best interest of the company, which is to save the company money. So how do you motivate them to do that? The other part about assignment 2 is that she really does request individual emails for each employee. It doesn't take that long to make each one, so that it's kind of personal. You don't want to have that one email where you say, Sam, you should be spending this, because nobody's going to see that. And first of all, you don't want to yell at everybody all at once, and because there's a different hierarchy in terms of their jobs, and you don't want the supervisor to be on the same place as the person who's below them. But you do want to speak to each one individually and say to them, Sam, I understand that you had to do a business meeting, with the Bill's Corporation, and you took them out to dinner, but that was, $300 that you spent on that meal. So we're kind of asking you to tone it down, and because make sure that we're getting, when you make an investment like that, just check it with us to make sure that we're going to be getting a return on that meal and that kind of investment. So that's the kind of thing that you're talking about, each person individually. Number 3, everybody's doing very well in, and I think it's because we did give you a sample. One thing, there are 2 points that she's looking for mainly. One is that you mentioned that there's a freezing of external hiring so that they don't feel bad. So that's important, because they said, look, we're not hiring anybody from outside. We're going to try first to give anybody jobs within our company the way it is. And that you mentioned that there is going to be some sort of severance package. But do not go overboard again on the severance package. Yes, there's going to be a severance package, and everybody's going to be getting something, but within reason. We're not going to be making it too large. Because don't forget, they're closing down that division for the simple reason is that it wasn't making any money. So they don't have a lot of money to spend on large severance packages. And the person, once leaving, will also be getting unemployment. So that's going to take that as well. Okay, next one is the carpal tunnel syndrome. Again, what people are doing in this report, a report to your boss is not a term paper. People are still treating it like you're handing in a term paper, like a report that you would hand into your college professor, which is research. You're doing research for your employer, but your employer is sending you out to do it because they don't have the time to do it. So what they want to see are the definitions of carpal tunnel syndrome, they want to see the symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome, and then they want a solution which would be a solution for employees who already have it, and how are we going to prevent it to make sure that other people don't get it. So that is, and she's looking for bullets because bosses don't have the time to read a whole term paper. They don't care. They don't care. It's get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. Tell the your employer in bullet points what it is. Keep it very clear, not a lot of words. Taking the research, she likes to see pictures, which you can get illustrations. You can just download those illustrations. I think some of them in the research that I give you, or you could get others from the internet and so on. And then there is the process, which is different. So in assignment, let me just scroll down to that one, assignment 2, assignment 3, assignment 4, is that you're going to be asked to research it, but you're also going to be asked to write the report, and that there should be the process of how you got there too, so that you're going to be having both of them, not as just one long thing, but it's going to be divided into 2 parts. The next thing is number 5. The number 5 is your employment. And this may be a cultural thing between us, and because I do read resumes very often from people who are looking for jobs within, to work with us in terms of developing, and I do get resumes from around the country of people wanting to work with Coopersmith. So I get a lot of letters where people say, here's my qualifications, and they step by step and the point in their experience, and and at the end they end off with, you can call me anytime, I would love to speak to you, what can I do for you, I would love to be part of your organization. The kinds of things that she's saying, the grader is saying, is more like, so can you give me more information about your company? To let kind of like, do I really want to work for you? And that throws off the person that's hiring a lot, because I'll just move on to the next resume. If you're applying for a job to work in my company, it's your job to do the research to make sure that you understand what it is that what it is that I'm looking for. And you want to make sure that you're going to present yourself in a way that I'm going to want to hire you, because I'm going to be paying you money. And it's not like, are you good enough for me to go work for you? So that some of the letters that she's looking at kind of turn the tables, and she's kind of confused about that. Like, what makes your company good enough that I would want to work for you? And you don't want to go down that road, because it's really not going to be helpful in the real world. So I wouldn't do that. And then she's looking for you to get specific with experience. Some of you are saying things like, I'm a really fun person. I'm very energetic. Those are nice adjectives, but they don't tell me anything. I am a fun person because at my last job, I organized a carnival for the students, and I got dressed up as the clown, and I'll make a great kindergarten teacher, because I'm not afraid to go out of, to be out there. I'm an extrovert in that way. Those are the kinds of things that she's looking for, specifics, which is really proof that okay, so if you say, look, I'm a fun person. Well, how do I know you're a fun person? What have you done? Which is what she questions. The other thing is, you need to supply us with the ad that you're answering. That really is extremely helpful for us, because this way because by reading the advertisement, if you just, take a picture of it and put it in, you can snag it and just put it in, would be very, very helpful, so that we have an idea of what it is, the job that you're applying for. Don't do it without it. And also finish off with, and it's the finishing part that we were talking about before that seems to be missing on so many papers. You'll write the letter, and then people aren't putting in at the very end, oh, thank you for taking the time to read this. People aren't even giving their names. Make sure that you put your name on it, your information, are you contacted? They're not giving their contact information. So you need to finish it off very smoothly as if you really were applying for the job, and keep it realistic that way. The other thing I just forgot to mention is for number 4, is that people are not, in terms of the carpal tunnel syndrome, people are losing points because they're not referencing. And in this PowerPoint video, if you go up on top, I teach you exactly how to put those references in. She wants to know that when you're quoting something, or where you got your information, because your boss is going to want to know, where did you get your information on carpal tunnel syndrome, so that I know that you just didn't make it up in your chair. And I think that that's really important. And other than that, that's the only thing that I could add to what we have here that you can read yourself, or the other webinar that we did that would make it any different. So I'm open to questions. Does anybody have anything specific that's bothering them, or that they have any questions on? This is your chance, your opportunity. If anybody is on the phone and they have phone questions, you can unmute yourself, and I'll be glad you can ask it on the phone. That would be fine too. Okay, so there don't seem to be any questions. I think we're clear. Oh, here we go. Hold on. There is somebody here. Okay. Very good. I'm so glad that I've motivated you to finish it. If you have any questions, oh, okay. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to, you could either call us or email us with your questions, and we'll take care of it for you. Okay, so hold on. So here is Mr. Haas.
Hi. I just want to mention one more thing regarding assignment number 5, and this is something that's not really just relevant to Coopersmith specifically, or to this assignment, and I think it's more relevant to real life. And I kind of want to emphasize something that Dr. Rosenberg said a little while ago, and that is, I see a lot of resumes. I work for, obviously, I run Coopersmith, I help run Coopersmith, and I work in other organizations as well, and I hire a lot of people, and I see a lot of resumes. And the ones that say something like, I saw your ad, and I think I would be an excellent fit for reasons A, B, C, D, E, and attached is my resume, and please feel free to call me, please feel free to get in contact with me at your convenience. Those are going to get a second look, especially if they reference something about the organization that they're applying for. So most organizations out there in today's day and age, you can do a lot of research, and you can know a tremendous amount about the organization by researching them online. You can go to their website, and you can read their website, and you can know pretty much everything about the company. Now, again, in this example, it's a little different. Obviously, this example is a hypothetical company. It's not. Although, for assignment number 5, you could actually research the real companies that you're talking about, but. But in terms of when you're applying for jobs, and presumably you're all going to be applying for jobs, at some point in the near future, A, you want to try to research the company you're applying to beforehand. B, in your cover letter, or your email, however you're communicating with them, you want to say something about their company to prove that you've researched them a little bit. Number 3, you want to express your interest and express how fascinated you are by their work. Even if you're not fascinated, you can make it sound like you're maybe a little bit more interested than you are. Because I'll tell you, as somebody who does a lot of hiring, my number one criteria, obviously, people need the experience and you need the skills and all that, may be important. But the number one thing that I'm looking for in a potential employee is that the person wants to come to work for me. That's kind of almost the top issue that I'm looking for. If you write to an employer saying, can I have more information about the job? Then as an employer, I've received 25 other resumes. I don't need to give you information about the job. You can always get information about the job by researching it, and you can get it later on in the interview. So always try. You don't have, just because you get an interview doesn't mean you have to take the job. So be as excited as possible about the position. Be as interested in the particular company that you're dealing with. Later on, if you decide that the job is not for you, nobody said you have to take it. So don't kind of start the negotiating at the beginning. When you've made a really good impression on the employer, and the employer really wants to work with you, then you're in a much better position to negotiate. If you have to negotiate salary or hours or work time or whatever it is, these are all things that are very important. Things like working remotely or working only part-time or getting a higher salary. These are all things that are important, but these are not things that you want to start negotiating sight unseen, because no employer is going to negotiate these things with you unless you've already made a good impression. Once the employer wants you, then then he'll negotiate these things with you. But if you start off, the first thing you write is, I need an extra, I need more money and I need better hours, the employer will say, okay, I'll just go to the next person. Thank you very much. Okay, question regarding the additional feedback. Yeah, okay. I mean, just shoot us an email that you're interested in that service, and we'll tell you, we'll tell you how that is. Again, most people don't choose to do that. It's only a very, very small percentage of people. But yes, if you want the additional feedback, you can let us know, and just shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to take care of that for you. All right, so yeah, again, obviously, we kind of assumed that you've already seen the assignments in this. This is, of course, the overall study guide. There's some general things about writing over here at the beginning. Then there's notes in the individual assignments over here in terms of a little bit MLA formatting. Then there's a little bit on each assignment. And from the middle of the study guide on, I'll put it in again over here. You can email us at info. We all have individual email addresses, but we all get this one. I'll put it in the chat window. info@coopersmithcc.net. If you send an email to that, we all get it. So whoever is in best position to respond to it will respond to it. So then once you get past this, then at some point over here it moves into about halfway through. You have the final exam prep. Before this section is obviously all relevant to the assignments themselves, and then when you're ready to take the final exam, go through from here on in. Here on in there's about 60 slides or so, maybe even less, through here, and this material is what the final exam is based on. But the material before this is really designed to make sure that you have the knowledge necessary to actually write the assignments. And again, we've kind of assumed that you've already seen the assignments. If you haven't seen the assignments yet, and so you're a little lost in terms of what we're talking about now, going into the specifics of the assignments, feel free to look them over, and we will put this webinar up for, we'll put the recording up, and which will allow you to watch it any time. So if you want to go ahead and look over the material and watch this again, watch Dr. Rosenberg's 15-20 minute presentation of, regarding each individual assignment, that certainly might help as well. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, then if you have any questions, obviously, please feel free to chime in over here. If nobody has any questions, then we are about done. I want to remind everybody one more thing. Next Sunday, which is at 12 o'clock Eastern, the same time. We're going to have a science about natural, a webinar about natural science, and thank you for the question. I'll get to that in a second. But so we're going to do at the beginning, we're going to cover biology and earth science, and then later on, we're going to cover chemistry. So the chemistry element might start around 12:45, give or take. Until then, we'll be discussing earth science and biology. I know that there's a whole cohort of people that are currently studying for the chemistry exam, so we're going to kind of shift gears towards the end over there. So if you're taking the earth science or life processes exam or both, that's next Sunday at 12, same way to log in. If you're taking chemistry, then you can log in a little bit later on, but we will be covering those materials as well. The math, as far as math goes, there was a math webinar 2 Sundays ago. Obviously last Sunday was Perm, but 2 Sundays ago there was a math webinar. It should be in the, let me find the webinar for you. I can give you the link for it right now for the math one. All right, just give me 1 second. I just got to find it over here on my other screen. All right. Okay. This is a link to the December math webinar. So you can go ahead and do that. We also had a webinar a couple of weeks ago that I can't seem to find those right now, but I will try to find those at some point. Right now, yes, it definitely is possible. Shoot us if you'd like the direct link to any of these. You can certainly let us just shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to send you the link. That's not a problem at all. And as far as the science goes, let me see if I can find the science webinar from last time. Yeah, okay, there it is. This is a link to the January science webinar, but again, we'll be having a live one again next week. At this point, we don't have plans to schedule a webinar for the business exam, just because they're not quite as popular and not as many people take them. But listen, if there's enough of a demand for it, we're certainly up for whatever the students think would be helpful. So again, if you'd like, but the one from December should be there, just in case you don't have it, by the way. If you may have gotten an earlier version of the flash drive or whatever it is. If in case you don't have it, let me also give you the link to the business writing webinar from last time, from December 18th, and it should be accessible right over there. That's the December 18th business writing webinar. Okay, very good. So with that in mind, we hope to hear from you and to, okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. We'll definitely look into that. Please, we look forward to hearing from you on the exams itself, and of course by email if you have any questions. And we'll see you at future webinars, hopefully. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Or if you have any more questions, please feel free to continue chiming in. Thank you.